All right, guys, welcome in. If you are new here, my name is Dr. Matt, and make sure that we're on both sides here. All right, and it looks like we are streaming on both sides of the streaming world. If you are new here, my name is Dr. Matt. I'm one of the most experienced MCAT tutors in the country. Let's see here. Drop your MCAT and Premed questions here. All right, make sure we pin that to the top here. Welcome in, guys. If you're new here, my name is Dr. Matt. Drop your MCAT and Premed questions here. If you have been here before, you know that we like to talk about med school admissions and how to ace the MCAT and all that fun stuff. Welcome in. How's it going? There we go. All right, so thank you for the likes, appreciate it. Make sure we're kind of the same stream window on the YouTube side also. There we go. All right, everything looks pretty well adjusted there too. All right, guys. So we are officially almost to July. So if you're applying this cycle, guys, you are probably split right now between conversations we're having with people who are done with their MCAT. They've applied to primaries and they're thinking of filling out their secondaries, or they've already filled out their secondaries. If you're partway through this cycle and you haven't filled out your secondaries, there's nothing to worry about. The medical schools have not given away all the spots yet. Really dial in and figure out if you have or have not given a good picture of who you are and what makes you you, so that they start to think of you as an individual applicant. All right, Morgan asks, where'd you go to med school? So I went to a state school and had the privilege of going to doing my clinical portion of training at a pretty cool academic hospital. And then the part that I think is the most fun and unique part for navigating the rest of the career is that I was able to get involved with some extra like research conferences and some more international focus on what exactly we can do to improve. My jam is evolutionary medicine. So JS Venga says, can you rate biomed engineer as an undergrad major? What kind? So what do you? Please feel free to let me know what you mean about the biomedical engineering. If you're asking like, what do I think about it from the what do I think about it from the perspective of, like, is it a cool major? Is it useful for applying to med school? Is it useful for like what kind of content you're going to know before med school? There's kind of a few really different things we could think about. And I guess I'm curious what you mean when you're asking your question there. Now, I think biomedical engineering is super, super cool. A lot of the people that I ended up, working with later on were in biomedical engineering. So I think it's a fantastic exposure to principles of engineering. It's a fantastic exposure to the challenge of the crossover between biology and medicine, and the challenges that come with trying to do engineering in that space. So I think it's a pretty cool major. Now, specifically for how medical schools think of it, it's gonna depend on how you like what kind of medical school you apply to. So if you apply to a school that really, really likes, if you apply to a school that really likes biomedical engineering, there are schools that love biomedical engineering. Like they're proud of the fact that they have produced like famous patents, that they have produced, heart valves, and they have produced, neural implants, and, different, maybe, some of the schools have had their hand in things like some of the like CGMs, right? Like the continuous glucose monitors. If you find a school like that, then going in as a biomedical engineer can be a really big signal to the medical school that you're a really good fit if you care about the things that they care about. So if they are like a biomed engineering, school, then by all means, going in as a biomedical engineer is a great idea. So, yeah. Next question was, what kind of medicine are you in? And so I work in neurodegenerative disease. So we're trying to be the people who cure Alzheimer's. So, all right, guys, a couple quick things. So let's do this real quick. Let me clean up my header here, and let's say this. Let's say, ask about the MCAT and getting into med school. And I'm going to erase the with Dr. Matt because you guys know who I am. There we go. Deb, the neurologist, welcome in. Awesome. Okay, guys. And then the last couple of times we've talked a little bit about how to improve on the cars section of the MCAT. And I know that it sounds like this is a topic that I've touched on a bunch of different times, but like, guys, if you cannot read the prompt, if you can't read the passage in about 2 minutes, you're not going to get a chance to use any of the fancy techniques that everybody else is always talking about for how to strategize and how to understand the question stem and all that other stuff. So, let me check on the YouTube side. Welcome in on the YouTube side. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for jumping on that like button on the YouTube side. Let me leave a quick comment here. Ask anything related to med school admissions. Very good. Deb says, what fancy techniques? So there are the main things that people, in fact, let me extend the text prompt here. So let's just say this for now: discussing MCAT cars techniques. So this is one of the areas where we probably see more people not get to become doctors, not get into medical school because of this section of the MCAT than any other section. I probably get more inquiries on MCATboss.com for this section than any other section. Autumn says, how much does it matter being an underrepresented minority and do an athlete together? Autumn, it's for the I'm going to answer this in two parts, okay? For the purposes of producing physicians who will serve underrepresented communities, that is one of the most important things you can possibly do. For the purposes of admissions in a school that concentrates on producing physicians for underserved communities, that can be incredibly important and valuable. Because of the unique climate that we're in right now, that's something like all of us are living through, and many of us have very little ability to redirect the climate right now. Because of the current climate, I would say it may not be utilized in the way that it might have been previously. Now, and then Autumn drops, along with 512 MCAT and a 3.86 GPA. So first things first. So 512 MCAT, super solid. 3.86 GPA, super solid. The thing that I think you have to think about now, and keep in mind, please feel free to drop a line to mcatboss.com if you want a more thorough look at kind of like your app and stats or your essay. I do essay reviews for people. But the thing to think about now that it's not like allowed to be used exactly the same way that it was in the past, or now that most schools are getting freaked out about using certain demographic components as part of the admissions cycle. Now I'm going to change my header here. Discussing admissions. So, now that it's not like formal criteria for a lot of schools, the thing to think about is how your experience, and this includes being an athlete too, right? Like, I regularly help people write their or edit, sort of brainstorm the focus of their personal statements. And one of the things to think about is even if something's not a formal admissions criteria, like if you're not allowed to demographically consider the underrepresented status of an applicant, what you can do as an applicant yourself is to use your experience as an underrepresented minority and your experience as a D1 athlete to narrate the things that you have achieved and accomplished during your journey up until the present day. So it could be your personal journey. It could be, thanks for stopping by. Awesome. It could be your journey with the admissions process. It could be your journey with overcoming challenges that other applicants didn't have to, right? It could be any aspect of how that has shaped the accomplishments that you've gotten, any aspect that your achievements have been more hard wrought than those around you. That sets you apart as an applicant. It gives you a set of things and skills and determination and drive that you've demonstrated getting to the present day. And really narrating that carefully and thoughtfully is a really good way to make use of that component of who you are and who you are as an applicant, even if they're not allowed to use strict sort of demographic verticals within the admissions process. I hope that makes sense. Please feel free to drop a line at mcatboss.com if I can help brainstorm that with you at all for your app. But yeah, do for sure. Don't worry about where the averages fall for any of the like top 40 schools. Worry about kind of where their mid 50 is. And if their mid 50 spans anywhere close to what you have on your scores, just go in there with your head held high and with a really strong, forceful personal statement about why you are who you are and how that has shaped you as this very competent, very ready to achieve, future doctor. And then go in there and shoot for the stars. Jehu says, as being a coordinator for a health disparities research internship, a good standout activity. I'm not entirely sure what exactly that entails. It might be. It really depends. Jay Hughes, it really depends on what aspects of that were challenging, what aspects of that, required you to do something either difficult or challenging or extraordinary, any of those things. Those are all things that can be taken into account. So the standout thing is that there are certain activities where just like mentioning that you've done something can mention that you've done certain activities. There are certain things you can mention where it's just like straight up impressive that you have done certain things, right? There are other things where like it might be impressive, it might not, and it really depends on like how you narrate it to know whether people should think that it is or is not impressive. I hope that makes sense, right? Like I could have like 6 people applying and they all have the same story, or I should say they all have the same experience, but one person is like, yeah, I did this thing. And I'm like, I don't really even, I mean, okay, they did some kind of coordination thing. And then another person is like, I did this thing and it was really hard because like all the people that I worked with were dealing with this immense time pressure, and we've had to figure out how to work as a team, and then we lost our financing, and then we had to coordinate volunteers, and we still got this clinic running. That can be like super impressive, right? Like this is why it's not just about what activities you do, it's about how you narrate it. So but again, if I can help you out with the with how you're narrating that for your app, let me know. Heidi says, how much does an miles per hour in public health. A master of public health. How much does MPH? How much does a master of public health and public health experience help if it fits with your narrative for why medicine? I think so. I think a lot of times for people who have the additional accomplishments of additional degrees, whether it's like master's degrees or doctoral degrees, I think a lot of people have an idea that they either will or they should get a bunch of like sort of leg up on the competition sort of thing, that they get some extra mileage out of their compared to the competition when they're applying. And weirdly, most adcoms don't actually seem to care that much about extra grad work, unless it actually has some relevance to what you're applying to. So if you have a master of public health, does it say that you're really interested in health? Sure. Does it prepare you for some of the things to think about when you're a doctor? Yeah. Does it help you like score higher on like your shelf exams or your board exams? And in that case, no, right? So a lot of adcoms are pretty much they're pretty much like, same criteria that they see for everybody else. So I don't think that it necessarily changes the calculation in the minds of the admissions committee. Now, the other side of that though, and I like that you asked it specifically with regard to like the narrative for medicine, and let me swap something out here. So there we go. Just so that y'all can know where to find me if you need to. The part about the narrative though, I think is a really, really smart way to frame this. And it's that the story that you tell about the journey to why you want to become a physician, that is something where you can benefit immensely from any kind of exposure to medicine, including if you were like a nurse or if you were like getting a master's in public health. If you narrate it that way and you're like, hey, here's the bottom line, I think I should become a doctor, because even when I did an MPH, I realized I still wanted to do more. Sumer says, what did you get in the MCAT? So I scored in the 90th percentile in the MCAT. I had 200th percentile sections, including the wonderful reading comprehension section and the physics and chemistry section. Thank you for the question. I've been teaching the MCAT for over 13 years now. Been a national MCAT consultant. The MCAT's my jam. I aced it and I teach other people to ace it. So if you need help on the MCAT, by all means, let me know. I have not only nationally consulted for some of the biggest MCAT companies in the country. I have actually helped write practice exams, helped write practice question explanations for companies, taught MCAT courses, and of course, personally helped more MCAT students than all kinds of stuff. Why not be a doctor instead of test prep? I am a doctor. Yeah. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I'm being like, I guess, I forget with TikTok, people kind of, people, it's their first time, seeing that stuff. So yeah, I'm an MD. I working on trying to cure Alzheimer's disease right now. No worries. Huddy says, I hope you didn't write the AMC practice explanations. Okay. No, no, I won't say which question banks I have helped to write, but I write really good long explanations, and when I tutor people on the MCAT, I help them understand it in a much more thorough way than the AMC. The AMC, I don't really even know why they give explanations, because they're really not explanations. Like, they don't qualify. Now, the AMC material, don't get me wrong, it's really good. Like, it's helpful, but the AMC material doesn't really explain anything. Leanne says, what is a good score to get into med school? Leanne, that's a great question. Whenever I do like one-on-one sessions with students, I go into a little bit more detail kind of about finding your own like bandwidth for what a target score should be, because there's a little bit of wiggle room on like what qualifies as a good score based on what your own GPA history is. Feel free to drop me a line if you need help figuring that out. But the general gist is, if you can break up, you want to break above a 500 to get into like a DO school. You preferably want to break above like a 506 to 508 if you want to get into an MD school in general. And then if you can break into that like 512 range, then you can start being picky about where you go. And then of course, if you really drill down until you're above that like 515, 516 mark, then you can start, picking where you want to go in the country and which school you want to go and go to and stuff like that. So for me, when I first did a practice MCAT, I couldn't even finish the sections. It was terrible. And I had good grades, right? I had graduated undergrad with honors. And I was like, man, how does this work? And so I, spun the car around, so to speak, reverse engineered the test, got close to 100th percentile. And then I got interview invites to almost everywhere I applied to. So Smiley says, I need preparation help with the MCAT. I don't think I remember anything. I'm happy to help you out. I do, you guys check out mcatbox.com. I do, thank you for hitting the like button, guys. I do offer, like one-on-one hours, like where you can book, just like a la carte hours. But I also have a really awesome, it's like $600. I have a 3-hour live course that I do where I basically train you to self-study. So if you do not want to do one of the like multi-$1,000 packages or go to one of the big companies and do a multi-$1,000 package, I basically teach you how to use a resource like UWorld, but how to do it in a methodical way. So I teach the ladder system. I teach you how to evaluate content versus context, so you can actually figure out the tricks behind the questions. But I'm happy to help out. Next one says, what? Let me see where we were. What is a good? Okay, we answered that one. What residency did you complete? So I'm actually a biotech co-founder. So actually, after I did my MD, I did my MD with distinction in research. And I actually am working on an international effort to cure Alzheimer's. Arjun says, I hated studying for the MCAT. I got a 527, but after 20 years of studying, I became a neurosurgeon. So we know that is not a real comment. You know why? You know how we know that, guys? We know that that's not a real comment because 20 years ago, the MCAT did not use the 500 scale, unless there's a typo in there somewhere or something else. But Arjun, maybe Arjun's being serious, but didn't mean to use that scale. I don't know. The MCAT used to not be that scale. All right. Well, I'm gonna stay on here for a couple more minutes, guys. And so drop those questions, go crazy on the questions before we wrap up here, and then I will check. Always make sure to check email right after the live. So if anybody does reach out from mcatboss.com, you should get a reply from me within a few minutes. By the way, if besides mcatboss.com, if you actually email you can actually email me directly to matt@mcatboss.com and get in touch with me right away. Yes, ask those questions, guys. We'll be on here just a couple more minutes. Was on a 45 scale when I took it in 2009. Yes. It was a 45 scale before. For those of you guys who are new to this, in the same way that the MCAT now has section scores, and those section scores are usually kind of like the 110s up to the 130s, that bandwidth of like around 15 points or so, that was the way that they did the scale. That they kind of added this new, like, starting everything off with like 117 points or something along with the section. No idea why they did that. It's kind of odd, but okay, Arjun, yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. Well, props on becoming a neurosurgeon. It is a long journey. Next question says, I'm applying this cycle, but taking my MCAT August 27. Is it too late? There's a few. I normally tell people if they're taking their MCAT, even taking it in June or July, not to worry. At that point, you are kind of pushing it kind of late, just because there's not gonna have scores till September. Yeah, that might be a little bit more complicated. I feel free to drop a follow-up comment or reach out, but that it gets a little complicated when you get to the end of August and beginning of September. But there's a few things we can take into account. There are those that get into med school, such and every doctors. Okay, thanks for the comment. All right, well, I'm gonna give it about 60 more seconds to see if we have any other questions. Now that we're to the bottom of the questions on that side, it looks like I don't think we have any more questions on the YouTube side. So, we do have one pop up right now. It says, what do you know when your application is good enough? I think I have a great application, but I always feel like it could be better. Andy, thank you for the question on the YouTube side. If you are confident that you have done your best on your prep, right? You can't go back and change any of the numbers now. And you're confident that they can read your essay and know why you're a uniquely qualified applicant, then you're good to go. Now, the components of what makes you a uniquely qualified applicant, that part is the part that and I'll be completely honest with you. This is something I usually, most students, if they book me to do like a personal statement / app review, they usually book me for like anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, because I usually actually converse with them for like an hour or two about, tell me what you are, tell me who you are, tell me what you've done, tell me the hard stuff you've gone through, tell me the things that you had to overcome, tell me the things that you're proud of, tell me the things that you wish you didn't have to mention on your app. And from that, we piece together a picture of like, this is who you are, this is what you want to convey, this is what you do not want to convey. And then I take a look at your app material, and it's essentially somebody with a lot of experience taking a look at the app and saying, if I didn't just talk to you about all of this other stuff, this is the real impression that I would get if I only had your app. Now, how are we going to bridge those things? And that's the kind of the song and the dance of optimizing a med school app. Next one says, let me see here. I already sent my primaries. Okay. I couldn't find your website for MCAT. So here, guys, I'm going to erase the line that has my email here. The MCAT, it's literally just www.mcatboss.com. Super easy to find. And you can either message me, there's options to fill out for like packages and installments and all kinds of stuff, or you can just use the contact form and reach out or reach out directly. It's all the same. Next one says, do student athletes have a better chance of getting into med school? Tyler, I'll be honest with you. I actually think that they do have, I don't know if it's fair to say that they have a better chance. I just think a lot of times the students who come in who have had experience in athletics, they tend to have a combination of like really good attitude, really good team player. They're great at making eye contact. They're great at just like making people feel good. And they tend to also have more life experience and a really cool story, right? Like I have a student who's like one of the best in her particular sport in the entire world. Like she's been to like the international, you know, finals in her sport and stuff. And it changes how you write a personal statement, right? It can help out with that stuff. So I do have to wrap it up there, guys. Please feel free to drop me a line at mcatboss.com. If you, there's all kinds of options for help on the MCAT. You can also just reach out if you need to jump on like a single a la carte session or something. If you need help or advice or planning for your MCAT or setting up practice interviews or help with secondaries,